Oh, right, yeah, there is a part two. Yeah, we left off with the gerbil getting shot. I can see now, like, why, like, Scottish people thought it was Daniels that did it. I mean, it was obvious because they were beefing, but I mean, it's Eddie Lyons. I mean, Eddie Lyons was. They've all been shot at what, but I can see why. Yeah, you can. It's them two that ended up getting got. But yeah, I guess we're going to lead up to that now. So let's go.
15 years ago, the Daniel family were arguably the most powerful organised crime group in Scotland.
This is the other thing as well, because people say that, but it does seem like the Lions have had the better of it. So I mean, obviously not now, but it does seem like the Lions have had the kind of better of it.
Their influence was slowly being undermined by the rival Lions gang in a battle to control the city's booming drugs trade. In 2006, Michael Lyons had been
Yeah,
shot
they got
dead
him.
and two others injured in a brazen attack at a garage they owned in Glasgow, carried out by two Daniel associates. The strike was said to have been ordered by the feared and unpredictable Kevin Gerbil Carroll, who was also the son-in-law of Jamie Daniel, head of the Daniel crime clan. Carroll reportedly got the Gerbil nickname as a child from the Kevin character on the popular 1980s children's TV show Roland Rat, and his rivalry with the Lyons clan stretched back to his school days when he was reportedly bullied by members of the family. In 2004, he had been charged with trying to kill a gang member with an AK-47 assault rifle, but the trial later collapsed. 6 years later, police intelligence files had him listed as one of the top 15 criminals in Scotland. At the time, Gerbil, who lived with Jamie Daniels' daughter in Lennoxtown in East Dunbartonshire, clearly thought he was above the law. He was said to be the leader of a gang that kidnapped rival drug dealers, subjecting them to sickening violence to obtain cash, drugs, and weapons. Gerbil's targets were often found distraught and half-naked in the street after their ordeals, and the attacks were dubbed alien abductions because the victims told the police they'd no memory of what had happened to them. The infamous father of three had survived.
See, this is what I've been wanting. Is like, so I've never heard of that, the alien, but that makes sense. But also the gerbil, because yeah, does seem like he's a real head case. But then the fact that they bullied him, and not just the fact that they bullied him, but the fact he was bullied. Most of the country's lunatics, like Scotland, England, wherever, it normally starts in being bullied, and then they're just not going to have it no more. And then one day they batter someone, and then everyone starts being all right with them, and they think that, well, that's the answer to life: just batter people and be a lunatic.
Two previous shootings in 2003 and 6, all linked to the Daniel and Lyons feud. But in January 2010, it was third time lucky for the Lyons when Gerbil finally met his demise. His murder, committed in front of horrified lunchtime shoppers at an Asda supermarket in Rob Royston, was arguably the most public gangland hit ever carried out in Scotland. Carroll was at the Asda for a meeting with a local drug dealer who he had warned,
"You're working for me now. Anybody that doesn't fall in line is going to get banged."
To be fair to the Lions as well, it makes sense why it's such a, because he is a lunatic. Like, they really could not try. He is going to do something eventually, and has done things. But yeah, you can see why they went so out their way to get him.
shortly before 1:30 p.m, two masked gunmen fired 13 shots through the windscreen of Carroll's black Audi A3, hitting him in the head and chest. Carroll, who was trapped in the Audi's back seat, could only hold a car manual to his face in a vain effort to deflect the bullets. The attack lasted just 25 seconds and he died instantly. The two killers escaped in a stolen Volkswagen Golf, dumping the guns behind a library in Coatbridge, later found by a member of the public. Two men charged with Carroll's murder stood trial separately at the High Court in Glasgow in 2012 and 2015. Lyons associate Ross Monaghan walked free after a judge ruled that there was a lack of evidence against him and therefore no case to answer. The court heard from detectives who said Carroll was a violent loose cannon and many people wanted him dead. Monaghan's defence lawyer read out a list of 99 people who police thought may have been responsible for the murder, though Monaghan wasn't one of them.
Yeah, he's a bit like Robbie Lawler. Look up Robbie Lawler, not the UFC fighter Robbie Lawler, Ireland's Robbie Lawler. But he's a bit like that too, where he was like, even for violent criminals, they was scared of him.
Following the trial, it emerged that a police constable had leaked secret police surveillance data detailing the movements of Gerbil to the Lyons. Derek MacLeod was subsequently jailed for 3 years and 7 months at the High Court in Edinburgh. 3 years after Monaghan walked free, a second man, William Buff Patterson, stood trial on the same charge. Patterson, from Cumbernauld, had left Scotland for Spain 10 days after the murder and never returned. In June 2014, he unexpectedly returned to face the charges against him, having handed himself into the police in Madrid. Patterson's DNA was found on the handle of a plastic bag that one of the murder weapons was found in, while a mobile phone used by him on the day of the murder placed him in Asda around the time of the shooting. The phone was then traced to Coat Bridge, where the guns were dumped. This time, a jury found the 35-year-old guilty. Patterson was sentenced to life and told he must serve 22 years before he could be considered for parole. Judge Lord Armstrong told Patterson,
"This murder appears to have been premeditated, planned, carried out by you and others in the most calculated way. It was not a spontaneous event which happened on the spur of the moment. It was, in effect, an execution."
After the trial ended, Gerbil's £220,000 home was seized under the Proceeds of Crime Act to recover assets earned through his involvement in organised crime. 3 months later, Maryhill Police Office in Glasgow was firebombed twice in a bid to destroy a car seized after his death, allegedly on the orders of Jamie Daniel. In September 2015, an ally of Gerbil's, Ross Sherlock, was shot near St Helens Primary School in Bishopbriggs after picking up his daughter. And in January 2017, Ross Monaghan, who had walked free on the Gerbil murder, was shot outside St George's Primary School in Pennylea. Both men survived the attacks and no one was convicted. But it was the death from cancer of Jamie Daniel that would take the feud in a new direction and dramatically shift the balance of power between the two feuding factions.
Damn! We need a part 3. There ain't a part 3 either. I'll look for it, but then I didn't think there was a part 2, and there was. But I did look on their Daily Records page and found this, but damn! That was like a proper cliffhanger moment. Took it in a different direction, stops. It's like, what's it? The Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, that was actually fascinating. And like I say, it makes sense with Gerbil being like, that is so common with these type of, especially them type of head cases too. Look up Crazy Steve as well. He says he went to prison and was just bullied all the time in prison, people taking shit off of him. And he's like, if they would have released him 6 months before they did, he'd have never ever committed a crime ever again. But he's like, they just left him in there too long. And just one day he snapped and turned into a lunatic and started his life of crime. But yeah, that whole being bullied. I mean, not everybody as well. You got crime families with people born into it and brought up around it. But yeah, definitely people that were bullied, if they get over that, turn out to be the biggest lunatics. But you do see it's all of these people. It's all of these people that are in the news at the moment, literally. And you can see exactly like it. Seeing it like this is so, well, I say it's so obvious you don't know that it was Daniels that did it still. He hasn't been gone caught and nothing's. Do you know what I mean? But when you see this, it's all these people. It's like, yeah, it's them two. It just makes sense. But just because it makes sense, it doesn't mean that it is a fact. But yeah, I'll see if there's part 3. But I don't think there actually is yet. But I will check. But yeah, that's part 2. Sweet.